Wall Street closes higher. The Nasdaq registers its first three-day gaining streak since November, even as Fed Chair Jerome Powell says unpopular decisions may be necessary in order to stabilize prices, but avoids any direct comment on policy. Investors now await cues from the December CPI data due Thursday. Stocks in the Asia-Pacific Open mix. The SGX Nifty is indicating a flat start for the Indian market. The World Bank warns the global economy will come perilously close to a recession this year as growth slows in the world's major economies. Also says India will be the fastest growing economy among 7 largest emerging markets. And OMCs are hoping for 50,000 crore rupees in cash compensation from the government on fuel marketing losses. Sources also say the fuel retailers view a 2 to 3 rupee hike in diesel prices as an immediate measure to make up for losses. The government is reviewing the export restrictions imposed on white and brown rice. Exporters have met officials and warned of a 6,500 crore rupee loss if duties are not lifted. Sources say the government is also reviewing the curbs on wheat and sugar exports. That's an exclusive. Hey guys, good morning and welcome to Power Breakfast. I'm Pavitra Parekh. Those are all of the top headlines that we have for you this morning. There's clearly a lot for us to talk about. But first up, let's take a look at what's going on across the global markets. We did get a positive handover from Wall Street, and Asia is looking quite mixed now. A few of the markets which were trading well in the green have actually come off. But what's still doing well right now is the Hong Kong market. There you have it on your screen. It's a 160-point gain, so almost 0.8% higher for the Hong Kong markets. Nikkei also seeing another good day of gains after what we saw yesterday. So the Nikkei market is actually faring the best. It's up over 1% right now. Kospi trade seeing just a minor uptick right now. What's in the red is the Taiwanese markets. They're on your screen. Just minor 13-point cut on the Taiwan markets. And Shanghai also seeing a little bit of a downtick. So that's what's going on across Asia. Let's also bring the SGX Nifty up for you. That is indicating quite a flat start, but it has moved up in the past few minutes. So it's currently around 16 points in the green. So that's everything that we're tracking from the Asian markets. But let's also talk about the US now. Wall Street ended yesterday's trading session higher. So the Dow closed with gains of around 190 points. The S&P 500 was up around 0.5% at the close. Meanwhile, the tech-heavy Nasdaq notched its third day of gains to end around 1% in the green. CNBC's Kate Rooney is here to bring us a wrap of all of that action from Wall Street. Kate.
Wall Street's New Year rally continued into a third day today, but the pace of buying has slowed a bit as investors wait for what could be a pivotal inflation report later this week. The Dow closed up more than 0.5%. The S&P ended with a gain of 0.7%, and the Nasdaq finished 1% higher. Bed Bath & Beyond is starting a new round of layoffs today, according to a memo to employees obtained by CNBC after reporting a quarterly loss that's bigger than what it had projected just last week. The troubled retailer is desperately trying to cut costs to avoid a widely expected bankruptcy filing. And Coinbase is cutting nearly 1,000 jobs, about 1/5 of its employees. In June, it eliminated 18% of its workforce. The crypto exchange's CEO telling CNBC that looking back with perfect hindsight, the earlier cuts should have been even deeper, given the severity of the crypto market downturn.
All right, that is everything that we're tracking for you from the global markets. But let's now talk about the cues that you should watch as we get into a fresh trading session. Our research team is here with the trade setup and all of the individual stocks that you should have on your radar as well. Ekta, Vahishta and Mangalam all join me now. Guys, a very good morning to all of you. Ekta, coming to you first. Yesterday was definitely a weak session for our own markets, but the global handover is not too bad this morning.
Morning. Well, yes, it seems to be a bit of a flip-flop which is taking place for our markets because, yes, the markets did reverse Monday's gains as IT as well as the financial stocks really slid in yesterday's trading session. So we had the Sensex which fell quite dramatically. We had the Nifty which was down close to 200 odd points. But the positive is that the rupee managed to gain, so it appreciated versus a Monday close of around 82.36. FII's net sellers to the tune of over 2,000 odd crores. DII's net bought close to that level of around 1,800 odd crores. So we have that commitment coming in through from the domestic institutional investors continuously. Now, US Fed statements. Powell did say that the Fed might have to make unpopular decisions to stabilize prices, but it seems as though the overall global market seem to be unfettered really by Powell's statements because they're probably looking ahead in terms of the eventual trajectory of the Fed. So the US markets ended higher, Asia largely mixed as you mentioned, and SGX indicating a bit of a flat start. Macros to look forward to, we do have the CPI IIP data back home tomorrow, as well as the US inflation data, which will be watched quite closely, not to mention a lot of earnings to reckon with the likes of HCL, Tech, Infosys, Ciant coming out in the next couple of days, as well as the likes of Wipro, Just Dial, HDFC Bank and Avenue Supermarts. So that would be a lot in terms of a queue to reckon with domestically for us.
All right, Ekta, thanks a lot for laying out all of those cues for us. We are going to watch for all of these. But let's also bring Vaishta in, who's looking at all of the individual stocks that you should keep on your radar today. Vaishta, good morning. Take us through the list.
Hi, Pavitra. Good morning. Let me start off with Tata Motors first, wherein Tata Passenger Electric Mobility, which is a wholly owned subsidiary of Tata Motors, has completed the acquisition of Ford India's manufacturing plant, which is located in Sanand in Gujarat. Moving on to Adani Ports. Adani Ports and the Carrot Group have completed the acquisition of Haifa Port from the government of Israel, and the bid was won last year in July 2022 at an offer price of approximately 1.2 billion US dollars, and the concession of period of the port is all the way up to 2054. Adani Wilmar has a Q3 update wherein there's a strong volume growth and market share gains across their product segments. The company has also benefited from a stronger out-of-home consumption in the past quarter, and the packaged oil sales have grown high double digits, though institutional demand for packaged oil was weak and had declined in the quarter. The wheat flour category grew, driven by an increase in their retail outlet reach. Moving on to Narayan Rudalaya, wherein the company has incorporated a wholly owned subsidiary called NH Integrated Care Private Limited, and the last is defense stocks, which are expected to be in focus today. The Defense Acquisition Council has approved the acceptance of necessity for 3 capital acquisition proposals of approximately 4,300 crores, and the 3 proposals include 2 of the Indian Army and 1 of the Indian Navy, which includes the procurement of Helena tank guided missiles, launchers and other products, and the likely beneficiaries are going to be Bharat Dynamics, Bharat Electronics, Astra Microwave Products and Data Patterns.
All right, Vaishta, thanks a lot for bringing us that entire list. We will keep all of these stocks on our radar. Finally, it's over to Mangalam, who's looking at all of the cues from the futures and options space. Hi, Mangalam.
Good morning. So we've been yo-yoing around in the markets over the last couple of trading sessions. If you just take a look at it, on Friday, the Nifty fell about 130 odd points. Then on Monday, we saw a move on the upside of around 240 points. And yesterday, we all but gave up those gains. So 187-point decline is what we saw. And this coincides with the kind of FII selling that we've seen. On Friday, the FII sold close to around 2,900 crores. Then on Monday, it compressed to around 200 odd crores. And now yesterday, it was back above that 2,100 crores. In fact, in January itself, so far, the FII selling has crossed 10,000 crores, 10,125 odd crores is what they've sold. Not just in, cash markets, they've sold around 2,500 crores in index futures as well. And in yesterday's trading session, they added 27,000 long contracts and rather 27,000 short contracts and just about 170 long odd contracts. But, it's interesting that on the day the FIs add longs, they don't get a follow through. The day they add shorts, they don't get a follow through. Because on Jan 6th, we saw a 41% long exposure for the FIIs, 49% on Jan 9th. Yesterday, on Jan 9th, we saw a big up move. And yesterday, after the markets declined, the FIIs are back to around 41% long exposure. They've been selling calls, lock, stock and barrel. In fact, in yesterday's trading session, we saw the FIIs sell 1.17 lakh short calls. So that's telling you that every up move is likely to face some sort of congestion. Where are those calls sold? Just take a look at 18,000, 17,900 and 18,100. Between all 3 options, they've added 1.6 crore short contracts, telling you that levels upwards of 18,050 is likely to face some sort of resistance. Put writers have covered their positions at the 18,000 level. The Nifty is at a crucial point because the put-call ratio is at 0.71. Usually we see a bounce from these levels, and the Nifty is at the 100-day moving average of 17,906. Let's see whether we revisit December lows or we go all the way up to earlier levels of 18,000 plus. The SGX Nifty is indicating that it's a positive start. The question is whether this sustains or not.
All right, let's wait by and see whether this positive start sustains or not. Mangalam, Ekta, Varishta, thank you very much for joining us and prepping us up for this trading session. With that, it's time for the first short break on this show. But up next, like we told you, sources say that OMCs are hoping for 50,000 crore rupees in cash compensation from the government on fuel marketing losses. So all of the details on that important story when we come back. Hey guys, welcome back. You're still tuned into Power Breakfast. Now, sources are telling CNBC-TV18 that OMCs are hoping for 50,000 crore rupees as cash compensation from the government. This to make up for losses after fuel prices were frozen. So, Sapna is here with all of the exclusive details. Sapna?
Well, industry players have estimated a cash compensation requirement of 50,000 crores from the government, as an immediate measure to help them make up for the losses that they've incurred on petrol and diesel in H1, Q3 also probably, and of course Q4 is ongoing. But 50,000 crores is their rough estimate in terms of the losses that they've incurred in terms of marketing of these products. That's one. The second viewpoint that's coming from OMCs very clearly is the fact that they just only can't manage to keep their head above the water and just be in a survival mode forever. Either the compensation should come through in terms of fiscal support from the government, cash fiscal support from the government, or they should be allowed to raise prices. For example, 2 to 3 rupees, price raise on diesel will help them go a long way. So these are the two demands, key takeaways from our conversations with OMCs at various points in time. This has been an important issue. It has been doing the rounds for quite some time. The government has compensated OMCs to around 22,000 crores for the LPG losses. Will they be willing to do the same for petrol and diesel losses also? That's a bit of a question mark. The matter is not closed yet, and we just have to keep a watch as to how much of this money actually comes through from the government coffers.
All right, Sapna, thanks a lot for bringing us all of the details on this story. But with that, let's also talk about all of the cues from the commodity space. Manisha joins us with an update. Manisha, good morning. What are you tracking today?
Pavitra, morning. I'm looking at the crude oil prices, which have come off its highs, and we've seen $75 also give away for the WTI on the weaker side here. This is because the U.S. inventories have surged by 14.9 million barrels. Markets were anticipating a buildup of 2 million barrels, so this is way higher than that. Also, there is a statement from JP Morgan echoing the Fed Reserve officials' remarks on rates higher than 5% and higher for longer, and that seems to be weighing on commodities right now. IEA also says that there is going to be record global consumption, but that would only come in by 2024 at 102.2 million barrels per day, and 2020 could be a year of many challenges. That's what's led to some profit taking in case of crude oil prices. A very sharp decline is what we saw also for the natural gas prices, yet another 8% of a decline as moderate weather and weak heating demand continues to weigh onto this space. But the gold prices have continued to trade on an 8-month highs. The weakness in US dollar and the expectation that the US inflation data that comes in tomorrow will ease off further for the next another month is something that continues to support prices.
All right, Manisha, thanks a lot for getting us all of those details and the movement in the energy markets. But with that, we're going to get into a short break. On the other side, India's premier motor show, the Auto Expo, is making a comeback after 3 long years. We tell you everything that's lined up after this short break.
Road safety has been a much ignored aspect, but not anymore. Let's take a step to make commute safer for everyone. Raise awareness around road safety and reduce the number of preventable accidents. Sarak Suraksha Abhiyan, a campaign to evoke responsibility amongst masses and encourage citizens to demonstrate more responsible behavior behind the wheel so that commute becomes safer. Watch the special telethon on January 14th, 10 a.m. onwards on Network 18 channels.
Welcome back. Like we told you, India's motor show returns after a gap of 3 years. So Parikshit is here to tell us what to expect from the mega auto event. Parikshit.
Well, yes, the Auto Expo has made a comeback. 75 launches and unveils expected here at the Auto Expo. 5 global launches are also set to take place. Yes, we will be missing some of the big players this time around, notably Mahindra & Mahindra, Mercedes-Benz, BMW, Audi. But there are some very big announcements coming from some of the companies here. Maruti Suzuki. All eyes will be on Maruti Suzuki this morning, and that's because of that vehicle which is covered right now. That is a very important product in Maruti Suzuki's portfolio. They have an electric vehicle which is going to be showcased here. It's called the EVX. And we're getting information that that vehicle, which will be unveiled this morning, will be the first electric vehicle to be launched in India by Maruti Suzuki. In fact, it will be a global launch from India, and that will be before 2025. That vehicle, we're being told by our sources, will have a range of 550 kilometers. It will come with a 60 kilowatt-hour battery, all covered right now because it's going to be launched shortly. So that will be an important product. You'll also see the launch of the 5-door Jimny, which will be rivaling the Thar. You'll also have the Fronx from Maruti Suzuki, which will be a rival to the Hyundai Venue as well. So there are a lot of launches from Tata Motors. Tata Motors, for example, has the biggest stall at the Auto Expo this time around. They will have launches across the EV, passenger vehicle, and the commercial vehicle segment as well. A large number of startups are showcasing their electric two-wheelers, but today all eyes will be on Maruti Suzuki and Tata Motors. Back to you.
All right, Pariksha, thanks a lot for telling us what we should expect. But, we're going to keep coming back to you through the day so you can actually take us inside and show us around as well. But with that, we're going to wind down on this edition of Power Breakfast with the news that all of the Asian markets have actually moved higher in the time that we have been speaking. Gains led by the Hong Kong market, up over 1%, and the SGX Nifty is indicating around a 25-point uptick. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Bazaar Morning Call up in 2.